The wind had a strange way of moving through the cornfields that summer. It didn't just rustle, it spoke. Eli Turner first noticed it on a humid night in late July. The moon hung low, fat and orange, and the rows of corn stretched endlessly beyond the fence line of his old Iowa farm. He had been mending a broken latch on the barn when he heard it, a faint whispering sound that came not from behind him nor ahead, but from within the corn itself. At first, Eli thought it was the breeze carrying the usual nighttime symphony, crickets, frogs, the sighing of stalks. But when he stopped hammering, he realized the wind had gone still. The whispers, however, did not. Eli. He froze, every muscle locking tight. That voice, soft, dragging, almost wet, said his name again. He turned toward the field, the darkness between the stalks seeming to pulse. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice trembling despite himself. Silence. Then, faintly, a child's giggle. He grabbed his flashlight and shone it toward the corn. The beam quivered across the tall stalks, revealing only the shifting leaves and bits of dust. He waited, heart pounding, before finally muttering, "Probably raccoons," and heading back toward the farmhouse. Inside, his wife June was asleep in her chair, the TV casting ghostly blue light across her face. He shut it off, kissed her forehead, and went upstairs. But sleep didn't come easy. From the open window, the wind picked up again, and beneath it, those faint whispers returned, slipping between the gusts like snakes in grass. He didn't mean to. Not her. Found the watch under the soil. The well knows. The well remembers. He sat up, sweat slicking his back. The words were clearer now, distinct. They weren't the ramblings of his mind. They were voices, dozens of them, maybe more, and they were speaking secrets. Eli stumbled to the window, heart hammering. The moonlight glistened on the endless rows of corn, and for just a moment, he swore he saw movement, a shadow darting low, almost human in shape, crawling between the stalks. The next morning, Eli found footprints near the edge of the field, bare, small, and leading inward. He called out to the sheriff, but Sheriff Dugan only chuckled. "You been hitting that corn whiskey again, Eli? Ain't nobody out there. You're just lonely since your boy left for college." But Eli wasn't so sure. The whispers didn't stop at night. In fact, they grew louder. By the third night, they began saying names. Names of people from town, people who had vanished years ago. And one name kept coming back, over and over again, like a prayer said through teeth. June Turner. June Turner. By morning, Eli's nerves were frayed like an old rope. The whispers had gone silent with the sunrise, but their echo clung to him. Words that made no sense except one, his wife's name. June noticed his restless pacing as he downed his third cup of coffee. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said softly, her gray hair tucked behind her ears. Eli tried to laugh it off. "Couldn't sleep. Coyotes, maybe." June frowned. "Coyotes don't call your name, Eli." That stopped him cold. "What do you mean?" She looked toward the window, where the corn rippled under a lazy morning wind. "I heard them too, last night. Whispers from the field. I thought it was you, out there talking to someone." Eli's skin prickled. "What did they say?" Her lips pressed tight. "Something about the old well." The well. Eli hadn't thought about that in years. It sat half-hidden behind the north edge of the cornfield, boarded up after an accident long ago, when a boy from town had gone missing and they'd searched every inch of the farm. They'd never found him. After breakfast, Eli grabbed a shovel and headed toward the well. The boards were gray and splintered, warped by decades of rain. He kneeled, brushing away weeds and dirt. For a moment, he thought he heard a faint drip echoing below. Then, as he leaned closer, a cold draft rose from the cracks, and with it, a whisper. "Still here." Eli jerked back, nearly dropping the shovel. He stared at the well, heart hammering until the sound faded. Then something caught his eye, a glint of metal just beside the stones. He dug around it with his hands and unearthed an old pocket watch, its glass cracked, the initials RH etched on the back. He recognized those initials instantly. Raymond Heller, the boy who'd vanished 40 years ago. The air around him thickened, the corn swaying despite the still wind. Eli's mouth went dry. He pocketed the watch and stood, feeling unseen eyes on him from between the rows. That night, he showed the watch to June. She turned pale. "Eli, that boy's mama still lives down the road. You ought to tell her." "I will. But first, I'm going to find out what's really buried out there." When midnight came, the whispers returned, louder this time, filling every inch of the farmhouse. June covered her ears, trembling. Eli stood at the window, whispering back, "What do you want?" The corn answered, "Truth, beneath the soil. She knows. June knows." He turned to his wife, her face pale in the moonlight. "What are they talking about, June?" She didn't answer, just stared out at the cornfield with wide, glassy eyes and whispered so softly he barely caught it. "They found it again."
Eli couldn't sleep after that. June's strange words looped in his mind like a broken record. They found it again. Found what? By dawn, June was gone from bed. Her side was cold. Eli rushed downstairs. The front door stood open, the screen door creaking in the early wind. "June!" he called. The only answer was the distant murmur of the corn. He grabbed his boots, a lantern, and the old rifle that had hung above the fireplace since his father's day. The path to the well was slick with dew, the soil soft beneath his steps. He found June kneeling there, her nightgown stained with earth, her hands digging into the dirt like an animal. "June, what in God's name?" She turned toward him slowly. Her eyes were wild, unfocused, her face streaked with tears and mud. "They're under here, Eli," she said hoarsely. "They're all under here." Eli's heart thudded in his chest. "Who's under here?" "The ones the corn remembers." She pointed to the base of the well. There, half buried in the earth, was something small and gray. Eli hesitated, then crouched and brushed it clean. Bone, a fragment of skull. He stumbled back, bile rising in his throat. "Jesus, June, what have you done?" "It wasn't me," she whispered. "It was him." Eli froze. "Who?" June didn't answer. Her gaze drifted toward the rows of corn, as if someone waited there. That night, Eli went back alone. He brought a spade and a lantern, heart hammering as the darkness closed around him. The wind was heavy with whispers, the kind that seemed to crawl into your ears. "You've forgotten, buried the truth. Raymond Heller, the others, the field took them." He dropped to his knees, digging at the edge of the well. The soil came away easily, too easily, as though it had been disturbed before. The smell hit him next, damp and foul like rot. Then his spade struck something soft. He brushed aside the dirt and found a cloth bundle, old and half decayed. Inside were bones, small ones, too small for a grown man. A voice rose from the well, soft as a sigh. "You left him here, Eli." Eli's breath caught. No, I didn't." You did. The whisper turned into dozens. Men, women, children, their voices twisting through the air like smoke. You helped cover it up. You built your corn over our graves. You knew. Eli staggered back, clutching his chest. The lantern flickered, casting frantic shadows across the stones. "Stop!" he shouted. "I didn't know! I didn't!" But the voices only grew louder, swirling like a storm. Then, amid the chaos, one voice rose above them all, cold, familiar, almost tender. It was June's. "Tell them, Eli. Tell them what my father did."
The next morning, the sheriff's truck pulled up to the farmhouse, dust kicking up behind it. Sheriff Dugan climbed out, chewing on a toothpick and squinting toward the cornfield. "Got your message, Eli," he said, stepping onto the porch. "You said you found bones?" Eli nodded, his hands trembling as he pointed toward the well. "Right there. I dug them up myself. I didn't put them there, Sheriff." Dugan frowned. "We'll take a look." 2 deputies joined him, their boots crunching over the dry soil. But when they reached the well, the earth was smooth again, undisturbed. The bones, the cloth bundle, even the broken boards were gone. "I swear it was here," Eli stammered. "There were bones, children's bones." Dugan gave him a long, hard look. "Eli, I think you need some rest. Been a rough few weeks." But Eli wasn't listening. He was staring at the corn. It was moving again, even though the air was still. The stalks bent slightly inward, as if the entire field was breathing. That night, June didn't come down for dinner. Eli searched the house, calling her name until his throat went raw. When he finally found her, she was standing outside in the field, barefoot, her nightgown fluttering around her like a shroud. The corn around her swayed in slow, circular waves. "June!" he yelled, pushing through the rows. "Come back inside." She turned, her face pale and distant. "It's too late for that," she said. "They've started the harvest." Eli blinked. "What are you talking about?" Her lips trembled. "You know what your father did, Eli. What they all did. He helped my father bury the truth. Every harvest, they fed the field, to keep the land fertile, to keep the storms away. That's why the corn always grew so tall. That's why no one ever asked questions." Eli felt his stomach twist. "That's madness. My father, he was a good man." June smiled sadly. "The corn remembers, Eli. It remembers every drop of blood it drank." A rustling rose behind her, louder now, more violent. The stalks shook as something moved through them, not wind, but bodies. Shadows taking form, tall and crooked, with faces hidden behind dripping husks of corn. Their mouths whispered, all at once, in a terrible unison. "Feed the field, feed the field." June reached out to him. "They're coming for what was promised." Eli stumbled back, tripping over roots and fallen stalks, the whispers pressing closer, louder, suffocating. He could feel the breath of unseen things brushing his skin. "June, run!" he screamed. But she only stood there, eyes wide as the corn bent toward her. 1,000 dry hands, or leaves that felt like hands, wrapped around her gently, silently, pulling her into the stalks. And then she was gone. The whispering stopped. Eli stood there, chest heaving, alone in the moonlit field. The silence pressed down like a weight. Then, faintly, from deep within the corn came her voice, quiet and broken. "Help me, Eli, before they take you too." Eli didn't remember running back to the house. One moment he was standing in the field, the next he was slamming the door shut and barring it with his father's old rifle. His breath came in ragged gasps, his hands shaking. Outside, the corn rustled, though there was no wind. It sounded like laughter, soft and cruel, drifting closer. He grabbed the lantern from the table and stumbled upstairs, every step echoing in the hollow silence. June's side of the bed was cold again. Her nightgown still hung from the chair, dirt crusted on its hem. He sank onto the mattress, clutching it like a lifeline. The whispers returned, threading through the walls. Doom Eli Turner, the last harvest. Blood for soil, soil for life. He pressed his hands over his ears, but the voices were inside him now. They filled his skull, vibrating like bees trapped in glass. And beneath them all, a new sound rose, the faint creak of floorboards downstairs. "June," he called. No answer. He crept down, lantern flickering. The front door was open again, though he knew he'd locked it. Beyond it stretched the cornfield, waving gently under the ghostly silver moon. Something moved between the rows, a figure, pale and slow. June. He stepped outside. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of earth and rock. "June!" he shouted. "Come back!" She didn't turn. Her feet barely seemed to touch the ground as she glided toward the well. Eli followed, lantern trembling in his hand. When she finally stopped, she turned to face him. Her eyes glowed faintly, like reflected moonlight on water. "You can't run from them, Eli," she said softly. "You're part of it. You always were." He shook his head. "No, I didn't know. I didn't do anything." Her smile was sad. "But you inherited it. The land doesn't forget its debt. The corn must feed." Before he could answer, the ground around the well began to shift, soil bubbling, roots twisting upward like snakes. The corn bent inward, forming a circle around them. From the shadows, shapes emerged, the lost ones. Raymond Heller, the missing farmhands, faces half-rotted, eyes empty, skin peeling like husks. They whispered his name over and over, their voices blending into a single pulsing chant. "Eli Turner! Eli Turner!" He fell to his knees. "What do you want from me?" June knelt beside him, touching his cheek. Her hand was cold as frost. "Only the truth." He felt something move beneath him, the soil giving way. The earth opened like a wound. For a moment he saw flashes, his father and June's father standing in the same spot decades ago, shoveling dirt, their faces grim, the ground soaked dark with blood. He screamed, the memory not his yet burned into him like fire. June leaned close, whispering one last time, "The corn remembers." Then the earth swallowed him whole. When the sheriff came the next morning, the Turners' house stood empty. Only the field remained, tall, green, and whispering softly in the breeze. And if you listened closely, between the rustles and sighs, you could still hear a man's voice calling from deep within. "June, please, I didn't know." The wind answered, gently and low. But the corn did